The end of Parshas Vayelech, we read Nitsavim-Vayelech this week. The end of Parshas Vayelech, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu finished writing the Sefer Torah, and he says, "Vayitzav Moshe Levim lokeach haSefer Torah." He's told the Leviim, take the Sefer Torah. Where should they put it? Next to the Aron Bris Hashem Alekechem, in the Beis Hamikdash, where the Aron is, in the Mishkan, in the Beis Hamikdash. There, next to the Beis Hamikdash, there should be this Sefer Torah. Why? Ki it will be v'ayeh b'chasham le'ed. It will be as a witness. It will be as a testimony to everything that was said in Parshas Kisavai, in Parshas Nitsavim-Vayelech, all of the warnings that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Klal Yisrael, and Moshe gave in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What will happen if the Chas v'Shalom, the Yidden, stop keeping the Torah, stop following the mitzvahs of the Torah? It would all be in the Sefer Torah. Make sure it's in a place where it can be as a testament, as a testimony to Klal Yisrael. Why? Moshe Rabbeinu continues, Ki anochi yadati es meryacha. I know your rebelliousness. I know v'esarbacha kosher, your stiff neck. Even when I was alive, you did so much against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, against Hashem, and after my death also. This is a little bit not understood, difficult to understand. If Moshe Rabbeinu is telling Klal Yisrael that he knows that there'll come a time when they're going to leave the path of Torah, so what does it help to have a Sefer Torah, which they're not listening to anyway, and they're not keeping any of the mitzvahs, and they're not learning the Torah, and in the Torah is going to be a test. How can this be a witness? How can the Sefer Torah be a witness? A witness that nobody's going to recognize and nobody's going to honor this testimony because they're not keeping the Torah. How can the Torah itself be a testimony to those who are not keeping the Torah? The Gemara in Sanhedrin, Mishnah Sanhedrin, the Gemara Sanhedrin talks about the evil king Achov. Achov was such an evil king that he's one of the people who are part of the list, the exclusive list of people who don't have a chelik in Olam Haba. They did such terrible things under their rule, these kings, Achov included, under his rule. There was so much rampant idol worship in Eretz Yisrael that the Mishnah tells us, Ein lechelik Olam Haba. But the Gemara continues and discusses the life of Achov. And at one point in the Nevi'im, we learn about Achov's interaction with the kings, with the non-Jewish kings, and they're negotiating a peace deal. They're negotiating an agreement of peace, and the king says, give me this, give me that, give me the other, and Achov agrees to everything except for Machmad Liboy, something which is very precious that Achov said he's not giving. Say Chazal, in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, say Chazal, that's the Sefer Torah. When they said, we want that Sefer Torah, also he said, Adkan, I'm not giving up the Sefer Torah. This the evil king, Achov, the king who was not only himself an idol worshiper, but made sure that all of Klal Yisrael went off the deep end in terms of idol worshiping to such an extent that he doesn't get a chelik in Olam Haba. But when it came time to give up the Sefer Torah, he was not willing to give up the Sefer Torah. Chazal say because of that, he merited to rule for 22 years, because there's 22 letters in the Aleph Beis that the Sefer Torah is written with. So therefore he got the schar that he was ruling for 22 years. How do we understand this? We understand this as the Meshech Chochmah, Meir Simcha, says that we see throughout the generations, we see in our generation, we see in previous generations, the Jews, the Yidden can go very, very far off the path of Torah, off the path of mitzvahs, but there's a certain awe and there's a certain honor to the Sefer Torah itself. There's a sanctity to the Sefer Torah that every Yid deep down never loses. Very rarely does a Yid fall to such a level that he loses his relationship of awe and holiness to the Sefer Torah itself. Even Achov, who was an idol worshiper, but when it came down to the point, am I going to take the Sefer Torah and give it to our enemies? No. Adkan, that I'm not willing to do. And because of that, he was zeichet to 22 years of rule. It says in Meshech Chochmah, that's what's going on here. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I know what's going to happen. I know that there's going to be a time when unfortunately Yidden will stop keeping the Torah. They'll go far away from Torah and mitzvahs. There'll be a huge chelik of Klal Yisrael that doesn't keep the Torah anymore. But I'm sure that having this Sefer Torah in the right place, that they're going to keep their honor, their feelings of honor towards the Sefer Torah, and hopefully they'll even open the Sefer Torah, hopefully they'll see what it says in there, and the testimony that I'm writing today, the aid that this Sefer Torah is supposed to serve, has a chance of bringing Klal Yisrael back to Tshuva. That we all be zeicha to be closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this last week before Rosh Hashanah, the week of Slichas. We should be zeicha to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Tshuva, Shalema, V'haya, Sham B'cha La'id. Good Shabbos. Please don't forget to subscribe. You'll get the video every week by subscribing. Put a like. Thank you very much. Good Shabbos.